myself just recently was laid out with the flu, and one of the things that's happened, and it's happened all over our chancery office, these little pumps are showing up with the Purell hand wash. They're like everywhere in the office. And you go out to public places and you're in the grocery store and you find those little containers with the Clorox wipes so that you can wipe down your grocery basket before you actually go into the store. We seem to have kind of gotten almost obsessed with having to be germ-free and clean. And with H1N1 running around and swine flu and all the other strains of flu that are floating about, with good reason. And in tonight's gospel, the Pharisees can't understand how Jesus could sit down to the table without washing his hands. The Jews had all sorts of prescriptions about washing and cleansing and purification. And many of them actually had very practical roots, just like the roots of the Purell pump. And of course they took on a spiritual meaning in terms of the spiritual cleansing that's associated with that. And what happened over time is what often happens. They began to forget the actual honest to goodness practical reason and began to get obsessed with the thing that they were doing. And the thing became more and more and more and more important. And we might look at that and say, it's really silly. You know, here the Son of God walks into your home, the Messiah, the one who you've seen raising the dead, restoring sight to the blind, the one who you've been listening to as he goes about proclaiming the kingdom, the one who people have been calling Messiah and Lord. He comes into your house, and all you can worry about is that he can wash his hands. Kind of silly. And yet, how easy it is for us to fall into that same category. We have beautiful churches. Your church has just been beautified by the addition of your new icon. And Munar was telling me Father Marek is working on 2 more for you now. You have a beautiful liturgy, the beautiful choir. And we can really get caught up in all of those things that we do as Byzantine Catholics. St. Nicholas Day is around the corner. Your St. Nicholas Parish, I understand that St. Michael is coming over to join you here for your patronal feast. We've got all kinds of traditions that are associated with the feast of St. Nicholas, and probably folks will be experiencing them when they come here. They're all good things. But the danger we run into is the danger of becoming just like those Pharisees in today's gospel. We can get so concerned about the beautiful church and the nice liturgy and the good singing and the folk traditions that are associated with all of those things, that we can lose sight of the fact that the very Son of God is right in front of us. That the only reason we have churches, the only reason we have liturgy, the only reason we have icons, the only reason we have hymnody, the only reason we have these home traditions is because all of these things are meant to be expressions of our faith, expressions of our relationship with our God. And not something we do as routinely as walking into the doctor's office and pressing the Purell pump or grabbing the Clorox wipe as we go into the grocery store. But something that's really meant to raise our awareness. And not just the awareness in our heads, but the awareness in our hearts. That what we're doing right now, tonight, in this church, is about putting us in contact with the very living God himself. The God who created you, the God who created me, the God who brought this whole world that we're in out of nothingness into being. The God who redeemed that whole world by becoming part of this creation himself. That God comes here to meet us tonight. And we hear those words approach with the fear of God and with faith. And we're invited to meet him. And we're called to do something about that. We're not called to simply take it for granted as what we should do when we come to church, but but to really think for a minute. Why am I here? Why am I doing this? What's it about? Who's it about? What's it for? Who is it for? Our worship is meant to bring us into that relationship with God that feeds everything of who we are. So that somehow, when we're going about our daily life, we do our grocery shopping a little differently than the person who's pushing and shoving in front of us with the 35 coupons. That somehow we bring with us the God we meet here. That we have an awareness of those in our church who are sick. Those in our church who are lonely. Those in our church who need prayers who maybe have no one to pray for them. Those in our church and those outside our church who maybe want nothing more from us than a smile. To let them know that the God who loves me, who I met here, loves you too. And I'm here to share it with you. That's what this is about. It's so easy to fall into the routine and to take all of these beautiful actions and all of these beautiful hymns and all of these beautiful traditions for granted as the way we do things, as our way. Why? Because in and through this way, in and through these things, we encounter our God. And what Paul says today should be said of us, that our faith is known throughout Barberton, throughout Akron, throughout Cleveland. Not that they say, oh, St. Nicholas is the church with the pretty icons, or St. Nicholas is the church with the great Olympian. Hopefully they're saying those things. But that they're really recognizing there. The reason those people pray the liturgy beautifully is because they love God. The reason that people have those hokey dinners is because they're bringing their community together to work together for the building up of the kingdom of that God who they love so much so that they can go out and share that kingdom with other people. So that folks will recognize in everything that we do that it's really about an expression of our faith, of our relationship with the God who comes here to meet us and who we so easily take for granted. We've been given a great gift. What are we doing with the gift we've been given? How are we being enlivened as individuals and as a parish by our experience of this prayer? How is that prayer nourishing our life as a community? How is that prayer spilling over into the way we interact with each other in the various activities that happen over in our hall, and in the way that we take the faith that we have here, and in and through those activities, share it with other people? We're called to take our faith and share our faith in the unique way that only we can do as Ruthenian Byzantine Catholics. But not because it's our way, and not because it's the things that we do, but because what we do in our way opens us up to an experience of God. An experience that is so wonderful and so marvelous that we want to share it with everybody. So that people all around will notice and will say, there, at St. Nicholas Church, are people who know God. Not people who know about God. Not people who know how to do things for God. But people who are really alive